5 seconds before the wedding. The incredible secret revealed by a cleaner that changed everything. Lucy could feel the tension in the air as guests murmured excitedly in the sun-drenched town square. It was the moment she had prepared for, the lavish wedding for the prestigious Johnsons, and she stood amidst the floral archway that had taken countless hours to arrange. But beneath the surface of her poised professionalism lay a tumult of fear and self-doubt that twisted her insides. What if something went wrong? The thought alone sent her heart racing. She desperately wanted to make this day perfect, not just for the couple but for herself, after years of pouring her heart into this dream. As she scurried about, her eyes darted to the shimmering gold ring woven within her bouquet, a long-lost family heirloom from her beloved grandmother. The pressure surged inside her. Should she risk everything to reveal the ring to the couple? What would happen if she did? Her grandmother's tales of love and the trust that came with truth echoed in her mind. Lucy felt her heartbeat drumming against her chest, each beat a reminder of the expectations pressing against her like heavy chains. Would revealing the ring diminish her status in the eyes of the elite guests? The whispers of judgment felt as real as the fabric of her linen-clad sleeves. Suddenly she collided with Sam, the reserved cleaner who had a knack for blending into the backdrop. Their eyes met, and for a moment, an understanding passed between them. Sam's expression shifted as he noticed the gleam of the ring, and in that simple glance, Lucy felt a rush of vulnerability. Here was a man, quietly supporting the dream she fought to uphold, somehow recognizing the weight she carried. Sam hesitated, but before she could voice her thoughts, he leaned in and said, "I know that ring. It belongs to your family, doesn't it?" Her breath caught. How could he? In an instant, memories flooded her mind. Summer evenings, laughter spilling over from her grandmother's stories of love built on integrity and trust. The comfort she sought from those tales felt like a fragile facade, crumbling at the intrusion of a moral dilemma. Lucy tried to regain her composure, but her mind spiraled. She had fought hard to escape the shadows of her past. Now they loomed large, threatening to engulf her within the glittering chaos of this wedding. Before she could respond, thoughts raced through her mind. Would protecting her dreams mean sacrificing honesty? Who was she really? The successful planner, or the granddaughter hidden under layers of expectation? In her heart, she wrestled between ambition and a deeper calling to honor her family's legacy. The enormity of the choice loomed like a dark cloud, obscuring the warmth of the sun that had once brought her joy. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Time slipped away like sand through her fingers as the ceremony approached. With every tick of the clock, she felt herself crack a little more. Should she protect what she had striven for, or plunge herself into a truth that could rend her world asunder? The hours she'd spent, invest, toward this day felt like a noose tightening around her neck as Sam's eyes bore into her, piercing through the veil of her carefully constructed life. In the humid air, thick with anticipation, Lucy stood paralyzed. Time was running out. Could she summon the courage to honor her family, and in doing so, lay her own heart bare? The wedding bells awaited, but the question lingered. Would she take the leap of faith into honesty, or silently uphold the status she had carved from her own scars? The stakes were impossibly high, and uncertainty loomed, ready to tear everything she had built apart. The world around Lucy blurred into a haze as the ticking clock signaled the countdown to the ceremony. Her thoughts collided, compelling her to confront the weight of the ring nestled in her bouquet, a symbol of both heritage and her growing internal turmoil. Could she really stride down the path of truth, especially knowing the potential fallout? The guests, with their designer outfits and polished personas, seemed to encapsulate everything she had yearned for. Yet, standing on the precipice of honesty begged the question, was a facade worth the sacrifice of integrity? Sam's quiet presence nagged at her conscience. He was a ghostly figure in the landscape of this prosperous world, yet somehow he had managed to see the truth that lay beneath her carefully cultivated exterior. Had he perceived the frail foundations upon which Lucy had built her career? Her heartbeat raced at the audacity of his words. She felt a connection with him, perhaps forged in the shared understanding of burdens hidden behind smiles. But could she tether herself to a man who epitomized the very life she wished to escape? Gathering her thoughts, Lucy excused herself from the bustling preparations. Step by step, she distanced herself from the grandeur of the ceremony that awaited. The fragrant roses and delicate linens that adorned the square felt suffocating now, a vivid reminder of the dichotomy she faced. Lucy stared into the crowd of impeccably dressed elites, their faces blurred and indistinct, mere reflections of her aspirations. Yet in that moment of clarity, she realized these aspirations had led her to a crossroads, a choice that demanded more than skill in event planning. A deep breath in the cool shade of an adjacent tree settled her nerves momentarily. Memories of her grandmother surfaced with poignant clarity. Truth builds the foundation of love, her grandmother had often whispered, an echo that now felt like a siren call. Moments spent in her grandmother's garden, nurturing fragile blooms under the warm sun, were not so dissimilar to her own dreams. Both required honesty and nurture. But what was her truth? And could she still be the dreamer while revealing it? It was there in the whispering leaves that clarity struck. Perhaps it wasn't about dismantling her success, but rebuilding it with authenticity. Coming forward with the ring would not destroy her, but rather elevate her. That simple act of bravery might honor her heritage while reshaping her identity. Racing forward through the crowd, Lucy sought out the couple, her mind shifting gears from hesitation to action. Each step felt like a declaration against the fears that had held her captive for too long. She could finally acknowledge the past while still holding on to her aspirations. It was time to present herself, not just as a wedding planner, but as a granddaughter determined to embrace her lineage. But as she reached the altar, the giddiness of clarity transformed into the chilling grip of doubt once again. Would the couple's reaction be one of gratitude or contempt? Was she prepared to face the judgment of those who had once stood in silent admiration of her work? In that moment, a voice from the crowd broke through the anxious fog. "Lucy, what are you doing?" It was Sam, stepping forward, eyes urging her to embrace her truth. Across the space, she could feel the weight of every gaze upon her. The moment of truth was here, and her heart warned her. Chaos would ensue if she took the plunge. But she had to decide. Was she ready to face not only her own past, but the critical eyes that had once galvanized her ambitions? Lucy could sense her life hanging in the balance, and with those breaths of anticipation wavering in her lungs, she realized that her next move would define her, either as a woman shrouded in expectation or one who dared to reveal the essence of her truth. Would she grasp the power that lay ahead, or retreat back into the shadows, forever questioning what could have been? The crowd hushed. The moment stretched infinite, and she felt her heart thumping against her ribcage, urging her to act. Her future beckoned, but so did the unseen consequences of decision, waiting to unfurl at her fingertips. Lucy's breath caught in her throat as she stood at the altar, the anticipation pressing against her chest like a weight she couldn't shake. The world around her blurred, a mere backdrop to the whirlwind of thoughts crashing within her mind. Just moments ago, the allure of the perfect wedding had almost captivated her. But here she was, on the brink of revelation, with the weight of her heritage resting heavy in her palm. Sam's presence anchored her in reality, his earnest gaze cutting through the veil of her doubts. "You know what you need to do," he urged, his voice barely above a whisper, yet charged with meaning. Each word hung in the air, a challenge and an invitation. Did she truly have the courage to be authentic, to reveal the part of herself that had been hidden for so long? Around her, the guests shifted, their curiously glazed eyes reflecting an expectation that she had meticulously crafted. She had spent years perfecting the art of facade, polished masks of success cemented in the imaginations of those who revered her as an elite wedding planner. But in the rush of that moment, Lucy understood. This was her opportunity to dismantle the illusion. What would happen, she pondered, if she took the plunge? Would her authenticity alienate her from the very world she fought so hard to belong to? The acrid taste of fear gripped her throat, but as her mind flickered to her grandmother's gentle wisdom, it morphed into resolve. Truth builds the foundation of love. She clenched the ring tighter in her bouquet, the cool metal a tangible reminder of her lineage. It sparked a flicker of strength. This wasn't merely a personal struggle. It was a chance to transform her identity and redefine her worth on her terms. The act of revealing her truth could become an act of love, not only towards herself, but towards everyone who had long admired her work from afar. Taking a deep breath, Lucy locked eyes with the couple awaiting their vows, their anticipation evident. She sensed their eagerness, their excitement birthed from the dreams she had fashioned for them. Would they still be excited after a confession from her? Would the hard-earned trust she had cultivated shatter at her feet? The fear twisted in her gut as uncertainty swept through her. Sam's steady gaze burned into hers, a steady current of encouragement amidst the cacophony of her thoughts. The moment of clarity that had driven her to this point now fueled her with the combustible energy of determination. All the small compromises she made, the layers of gloss she applied, came rushing forward, demanding accounting. Without taking her eyes off the couple, she stepped to the side, letting the audience see her fully. No filters, no embellishments. In that moment, Lucy resolved to bear the truth, to unveil the journey that had shaped her. "Everyone," she began, her voice trembling but gaining strength, "I have something important to share." Each syllable felt like a stone rolling down a hill, gaining momentum as it raced towards an unavoidable conclusion. In the midst of horror or support, her revelation would not only affect her, but everyone whose lives she had touched through her craft. "I want to honor my grandmother's legacy," she continued, her voice unwavering now. "This ring symbolizes more than just heritage. It's a reminder of authenticity, love, and truth. Today, I choose to embrace it fully." As the weight of her words hung in the air, breathless silence enveloped the crowd. Lucy's heart raced as she observed their varied reactions, a tapestry of shock, curiosity, and, could it be, understanding? The fear of judgment danced with a newfound courage coursing through her veins. But just as a sense of burgeoning empowerment began to well within her, she caught sight of a figure moving in the periphery. A woman dressed in unadorned black, her eyes piercing through the crowd, locking onto Lucy with a knowing intensity. Who was she? What story was etched into her stern expression? The crowd still paused in reverent silence, and Lucy realized she was not just revealing her truth, but entering a deeper web of consequence. The unsettled feeling crept back, whispering that perhaps this audience would soon hold not only her dreams, but a darker truth to confront. Would she find clarity or confrontation in this unanticipated moment? Lucy's determination flickered, caught between the past and the future. But she had come too far to retreat now. The turning point was upon her, and as the crowd shifted back into focus, she braced for the unimaginable. The gravity of her decision settled deeply in her bones, but the unknown lingered. Who was this woman on the edge of the crowd, and what did she hold that could challenge her fragile truth? Lucy's heart pounded in her chest, reverberating against her ribcage as she held her breath, teetering on the precipice of eternity. The woman in black stood motionless, her piercing gaze searching Lucy's, as if she were capable of unearthing every carefully buried secret. The silence stretched, each second feeling like an eternity collapsing under the weight of expectation. "Keep going." Sam's voice echoed in her mind, gentle yet insistent, anchoring her amidst the ripples of uncertainty swirling around her. The truth she had summoned up became a bridge to her past, while the present loomed, demanding authenticity. In the rawness of that moment, she felt the edges of her carefully crafted identity sharpening painfully. "Is this how I want to begin?" A small voice whispered inside her, ringing with doubt. Would her truth resonate or isolate? The fear clawed at her, yet she realized that the grip of uncertainty was nothing compared to the shackles of silence she had been wearing for years. The woman shifted slightly, allowing Lucy a clearer view of her face. It was a face lined with stories, marked by challenges that seemed to resonate with her own. Recognition flickered in Lucy's mind. "Is it?" She stumbled for a moment, grappling with realization. The moment hung heavy in the air, just as the whispers of guests grew restless, pregnant with questions. What was she doing? Was she actually about to share herself in front of everyone? Her peers, her clients, all judging eyes turned to her? Yet, the multifaceted truths of her journey collided. Fear, shame, courage, and liberation. And they demanded to emerge. Drawing from her grandmother's legacy, Lucy knew she had to reclaim her narrative. This was not merely about the ring. It was about the woman beneath the polished surface, the dreamer turned creator who had lost herself in the artifice. "Dare to be yourself," she whispered to herself, allowing the moment to transform her. "I will not shy away. I will pull the layers back and show who I am. Growing up, I was afraid of revealing too much," she began, her voice breaking the silence with tremors of vulnerability. "Afraid that if I showed the real me, my family would not accept me, and indeed, I thought I was unworthy of your trust. But it's precisely this fear that has shaped my journey." The crowd leaned closer, a tangible shift as they felt the weight of insight wash over them. Some nods broke amongst them. She had led them before in her time, weaving dreams into reality. Now, she was redefining what it meant to be real. "I want to be more than a face behind the perfect wedding. I want to be a catalyst for love, authenticity, and true connection. To be able to say, 'This is my heart.'" Her breath trembled, but an undercurrent of fierce determination pulsed with each word. "I want to tell you that—" Before she could finish, the woman in black stepped forward, her eyes narrowing, cutting through the charged atmosphere with a force that demanded attention. Lucy stumbled back slightly, taken aback. The silence shattered, unanswered murmurs ricocheting through the crowd. "Lucy," the woman spoke, her voice a solid tremor of authority. "You're not the only one burdened by legacy." The newfound clarity sparked within Lucy as she processed the implications of the interruption. Her heart raced with urgency. This confrontation, this revelation was pivotal. A tangle of emotions surged as curiosity and caution intertwined like the threads of her fate. "Tell us what you know," Lucy pressed, her voice steady, betraying none of the trepidation boiling in her gut. The crowd held its breath, teetering at the edge of uncertainty, anticipating the clash of truths. This woman was a key, and Lucy needed to know what door she was about to unlock. As daunting as it seemed, it was exactly the kind of challenge that could pave the way for her own emergence. Would Lucy confront her past or become ensnared in a web of greater complexity? The air thickened with palpable tension as the woman took a step closer, her lips curling into an enigmatic smile. What secrets would unravel from the shadows? The woman in black stepped forward, the dim light glinting off her sharp features, and Lucy's mind flashed with urgency. What do you mean by legacy? She demanded, her voice louder than she intended, a blend of authority and desperation underscoring her words. The crowd, once a sea of uncertainty, now buzzed with intrigue, their eyes reflecting the weight of unspoken history. The woman paused, assessing Lucy's resolve. We are all haunted by what we inherit. Every choice, every misstep, every secret kept buried. With each word, the room seemed to narrow, focusing only on the intersection of past and present. Lucy felt herself breathless, anchoring herself in a reality where connection and vulnerability were both terrifying and exhilarating. I know what it's like to fear the truth, the woman continued, her voice lowering, drawing Lucy in closer. You're afraid, Lucy. Afraid of the truth you've hidden from others and from yourself. The familiarity in those words struck a chord within Lucy. She had avoided acknowledging her own fears for so long. Lucy's heart raced. Vulnerability had moments of empowerment, yet fear surged to the forefront, clashing against determination. What truth was she hiding? The question lingered like fog, blocking clarity. Everyone here, every couple I've worked with, understands legacies, conflicts that threaten love, traditions that bind or break us, the woman said, her gaze unwavering. I recognize the paralyzing grip of your hesitations. It's not just about acceptance. It's about being free to embrace your heritage while forging your own path. Lucy pondered this revelation, her earlier thoughts whirling together. The tales of her grandmother, the facade she maintained, and the longing for authenticity danced sharply at the edge of her consciousness. What do you want from me? She managed to ask, her voice quivering with a mix of defiance and fear. To embrace the pain and glory of what you've inherited, the woman replied, her tone softening. You have a story to tell, but first, you must recognize the legacy you carry. The tension broke around them, a flicker of energy transferring from the woman to Lucy, igniting something deep inside her. Could the truth she long avoided be the very catalyst she needed? The audience's collective energy shifted, buzzing with shared emotions and curiosity. Questions coursed through her mind like electricity. Hadn't she always felt the pull of something greater within her? I will not run from it any longer, Lucy declared, each word gaining strength as she spoke. This legacy might dare to bind me, but I refuse to let it define me. A proud smile spread across the woman's face, as if Lucy had unleashed a long-awaited truth. Then let us unravel it together. In that moment, an unexpected connection was forged, trust bridging the gap between them. Lucy's heart thudded with renewed purpose. The audacity to confront her past had ignited a flame, revealing layers of herself that had been obscured for too long. But what did this mean for the life she had built around her business? Would her clients, friends, and peers understand when she tore down the protective walls? Anxiety coiled tightly in her chest. It wasn't just a personal journey anymore. It would affect the entire fabric of her existence. I need to know everything you find, Lucy urged, her determination shifting focus. How do I move forward in a way that honors this truth? The room fell silent once more, as the woman's expression turned serious, the air thick with emotion. The path isn't simple, but it is yours to navigate. Each truth uncovered will unravel a piece of the legacy, either binding you to it or freeing you from it. The moment lingered, and Lucy felt the magnitude of her choice pressing heavily against her chest. Facing her journey meant stepping into the unknown, unearthing parts of her life she had kept hidden. Would she have the courage to confront the complexities within the shadows of her past? As the woman began to speak again, the soft glow around her seemed to envelop Lucy, almost as if illuminating the path she had yet to take. Was this a beginning, or merely a ripple in the waters of her legacy? Before we dig deeper, there's something essential you should know, the woman continued, her voice a low whisper, Anticipation buzzed in the air, wrapping itself around Lucy tightly, holding her at the brink of discovery yet again. What new revelations were waiting to be uncovered? The weight of the woman's words hung heavily in the air, and Lucy felt her pulse quicken. "What is it?" she breathed, her voice almost a whisper as the anticipation wrapped around her like a vice. "Legacy often reveals itself in unexpected ways," the woman said, her dark eyes glinting with intensity. "Sometimes it takes a catalyst, a moment, a revelation, to unearth what has been hidden." Lucy clenched her fists, feeling the simmering energy shift within her. "What do you mean by a catalyst?" she pressed, urgency threading through her tone. The room felt claustrophobic, yet electrifying, as the audience's attention rapidly narrowed on their exchange. Lucy's heart raced, caught in a cyclical dance of fear and exhilaration. The woman stepped closer, her voice lowering to an almost conspiratorial tone. "Sometimes it's someone you least expect, someone poised among the shadows of your life, ready to illuminate the dark corners you've avoided." Lucy's breath hitched. The shadows, the unspoken truths layered throughout her history began to swirl in her mind like a tempest. Who did she know that could potentially unearth deep-rooted secrets? And more importantly, was she ready to confront whatever lay buried beneath the surface? While part of her recoiled at the thought, a larger part found itself racing headlong into the uncertainty. There was a burgeoning desire to unravel the specifics of her lineage, the history that had shaped her, and who else it might entwine in the process. "What are you suggesting?" "Admit your curiosities," the woman replied cryptically. "Embrace the discomfort. Only then can you begin to reclaim your narrative." As Lucy contemplated this, memories of her grandmother's tales surfaced, the colorful recitations that had filled her childhood, but which she had long dismissed as nothing more than folklore. Were these not just stories, but bridges between her and a long-cherished legacy? Suddenly, a thought pierced the fog of her internal conflict. Was it really as simple as embracing what she had always evaded? It stirred an unfamiliar courage within to not just explore her roots, but harness them into something potent within her career. Could she transform her inherited stories into a powerful tapestry for her future? "Yes, I want to know," Lucy declared, her speech emerging with renewed clarity. "I want to understand. I want to be the architect of my narrative." The woman's expression softened, yet her gaze remained deeply intense. "Then, let the catalyst within you guide this journey. Seek out solitude. Reflect on those stories that have shaped you. You'll find the connections are not always who you expect." Lucy nodded, a burgeoning determination igniting within her. She visualized herself diving into the pages of her family history, a mission to uncover layers that had long been dormant. The thought of revealing this richness to her clients thrilled her, yet unease gnawed at her conscience. Would they welcome this vulnerability, or would it shatter her carefully constructed image in their eyes? In that moment, the reality of her decision struck home. She was standing upon the precipice of transformation. There was no turning back now. The journey awaited. As the woman drew back, the tension in the room pulsed. "You'll find that each truth uncovered will also unravel the potential within you, but beware, it will challenge your notion of who you are." Lucy absorbed the weight of this warning. She could feel the foundations of her life shifting, the edges of her identity softening, morphing before her very eyes. She resolved silently to embrace everything, the light and the shadow. Yet just as she felt the first flicker of hope ignite, a sudden dread crept into her thoughts. What if unearthing this legacy also meant confronting troubling aspects of herself, truths hidden beneath layers far too deep to ignore? With those questions spiraling, Lucy realized she was teetering at the fringes of an impending storm. The delicate balance of her past and present felt forever altered. But already, A new spark of determination began to burn brighter within her. This journey would not just redefine how she viewed her legacy. It would reshape how she approached the world, one truth at a time. Her thoughts coalesced around one potent truth. The time had come for her to face not just her past, but the future she desired to create. And at that moment of determination, she knew the next step beckoned. Confronting the one person who might hold key insights into her legacy, her estranged father. A wave of apprehension washed over her, but she felt ready to plunge into the depths of uncertainty ahead. What would this encounter reveal? The haze of anxiety clung to Lucy as she paced the narrow confines of her modest apartment. Thoughts spiraled in her mind, an incessant buzz of possibility intermingled with uncertainty. Just days after her epiphany, she felt as if she were standing at the edge of a vast chasm. On the other side lay her father, a man she hadn't seen in years, shrouded in silence and complexity. Would he welcome her inquiries? Or would he retreat further into the shadows, reinforcing that impenetrable barrier between them? She took a deep breath, feeling the tension knotting in her stomach. What would she say? The questions she longed to ask bubbled forth in a potent stew. Years of unresolved emotion mingled with the fleeting hope of connection. Amidst the internal tempest, a small flicker of resolve began to emerge. Lucy understood that the time had come to shatter the silence surrounding her lineage. Revisiting the whispers of her grandmother, she recalled stories of resilience, wit, and light, a legacy that rang with echoes of laughter and sorrow. That connection felt vital, a tether guiding her toward an understanding not just of her family, but of herself. She couldn't afford fear to snuff out her burgeoning desire. This was a moment of potential transformation. The ticking clock on the wall pulled her back from her reflections. She had procrastinated long enough. Wrestling with indecision wasn't empowering. It forced her deeper into the mire of doubt. Grabbing a pen and paper, she began to compose her thoughts, the rhythm of her writing providing a lifeline amidst the chaos. Clarity flowed as she jotted down not only her questions but her intentions, the reasons she felt compelled to reach out. She was not just seeking answers. She was opening a door to understanding her roots, to carving a space for herself within a narrative centuries in the making. As she prepared to reach out, her thoughts darted back to her professional life. How might this journey into her past enrich her interactions with her clients? Lucy's mind buzzed with fresh ideas for coaching sessions, for workshops infused with authentic narratives that could resonate deeply with her audience. Personal stories could create bridges of empathy and connection, allowing others to confront their legacies too. However, her mind also lingered on the potential fallout. Would exposing her vulnerabilities make her more relatable, or would it signal weakness? Each possibility infused her with both urgency and fear. She fought against the instinct to retreat into her previous, more guarded self. Her heart drummed steadily as she typed in the number she had memorized long ago. The act itself felt monumental, charged with significance. Before she pressed send, a wave of doubt washed over her. What if he rebuffed her attempts? What if his reaction was dismissive? Yet she quickly countered those thoughts with the certainty she had nurtured. This was her journey. She was the architect of her narrative now, and it would be foolish to build it on anything less than the truth. With a decisive click, she sent her message into the void, a mix of vulnerability and strength intertwining. The waiting would be agonizing. As she perched on the edge of the sofa, her mind whirled through the implications of her actions. What would her father's response be? Would he share information she desperately needed? Or would he initially reject her outreach, forcing her to dig deeper? Just as anticipation shifted back to unease, she recalled the woman's piercing words about connections the unexpected. Suddenly, a ping broke the stillness of the room. Lucy's heart leapt as she reached for her phone, anxiety twisting her gut into knots. Would this be the moment of revelation, or another dead end? With trembling fingers, she opened the message, absorbing every word. And as she read, The distant echoes of her past merged with the uncertainty of her future, intertwining in a dance of revelation that held the potential to change everything she thought she knew. Her breath quickened as a new question formed in her mind. Was she prepared for what she might uncover? The words from her father's text swirled around in Lucy's mind, a mixture of fragmented sentences and abrupt confessions that stoked the fire of her curiosity while stoking fear's embers deep within her. "I never wanted to hurt you," his message had begun, followed by a vague explanation that implied choices made in the past, secrets buried beneath layers of time. The layers of meaning remained tantalizingly out of reach. Lucy sunk deeper into her couch, absorbing the implications. Each word felt like a breadcrumb, leading toward the core of her familial history, dark, yet illuminating, and yet she was stalled at the edge of clarity, not quite knowing whether she wanted to follow that trail. Her heart raced as she toyed with the impulse to respond immediately. What questions would unlock the truth? Would it be wise to reveal how much his message had agitated her thoughts? Confusion mingled with determination as she stood up, pacing again, her fingers gripping the sides of the couch. Could this be the thread that would unravel not only her father's secrets, but also her own? The gnawing realization hit her. If she chose to confront his past, it would also force her to confront her present, the facade she had carefully constructed around herself. Would this push her forward, or force her deeper into the shadows of her identity? She took a moment to breathe. Her phone buzzed again, jolting her from contemplation. Another message, this time a photo. A faded picture of 3 figures standing next to a dilapidated house. Her breath caught. In it, she recognized her father, younger, but unmistakable, alongside a woman with striking features, presumably her mother. And yet, the third figure was a complete stranger, someone who resembled both of them and neither. Her mind whirled with questions. Who was this person? What central role did they play in the story of her family? The idea that an entire narrative lay unexamined was unsettling, but it also ignited a fierce determination. She realized this was a pivotal point, not just in her pursuit of understanding her lineage, but also an opportunity to redefine her approach to her work. Each client she worked with carried their own untold stories, complexities hidden behind curated personas. There she was, standing at the intersection of vulnerability and strength, her realizations morphing into a strategy. If she described her discoveries as they unfolded, perhaps she could empower others to confront their own families with courage. Maybe it wasn't about weakness. It was about authenticity that could foster growth for both herself and those she guided. Yet, as determination swelled, doubt lingered just beneath the surface. What if her father was not ready to share what she so desperately sought to uncover? What if he clung tighter to his guarded world, pulling her back into isolation? The weight of that uncertainty pressed on her chest, and the pulse of fear quickened again in her veins. Taking a steadying breath, she grasped her phone once more, the pulse of her refusal to retreat guiding her thumb over the screen. There was no turning back now. What does this mean for me? She tapped, sending those words into the ether. In that moment, Lucy understood that she was not just unearthing her past, she was re-engineering her future. As she waited for a response, she caught her reflection in the window, a stark figure of resolve, battling uncertainty. What had started as an inquiry was now a powerful catalyst for transformation within her. She sensed that the journey would not only reshape her personal narrative, but also redefine the framework through which she viewed her professional role. When the ping of a response broke the silence once more, her heart raced. What further revelations awaited, and how would they guide her deeper into the labyrinth of who she could become? This path, shaped by bravery and the pursuit of truth, was starting to feel like a reckoning. She couldn't help but wonder, how far would she go to uncover the threads of her existence? Lucy paced her apartment, her thoughts a tempest of anticipation and dread. The text from her father was like a stone cast into a still pond, rippling outward, touching everything she believed about her family and herself. The photograph weighed heavily on her mind. The uncertainty surrounding the stranger in the image nagged at her like an itch she couldn't scratch. Who was this person that stood alongside her parents? What connections ran through the tangled roots of her family tree? Another ping jolted her from her reverie. Yet another message. This time a short text from her father. "We need to talk. Meet me at our old place." The simplicity of it sent a jolt of adrenaline racing through her veins. There it was, the open invitation to delve deeper into a narrative she had only begun to grasp. But with it came a wave of daunting emotions. Fear of the unknown, mixed with an irresistible pull to uncover the truth. The old place. A sliver of direction spun her mind. What had once been a sanctuary for her childhood held the weight of history, secrets coiling through its walls. Lucy considered her next move. Part of her envisioned confronting her father directly, demanding answers to the questions bubbling beneath the surface. But another part of her hesitated, aware that digging deep could unearth wounds better left unexamined. How often had she felt stuck in her professional life, balancing the needs of clients with her desire for authenticity? In that moment, she recognized an echo of her therapy practice within her familial situation. Each session, she created a space for others to unearth truths cloaked in denial. Could she apply that same bravery to her own history? She made a decision. She would confront her father, not as a daughter seeking to score personal points, but as a professional guided by empathy. What if she used this encounter as a framework for her clients? Substituting one narrative for another, her father's past for her present, could unveil unforeseen revelations in both their lives. The sun dipped lower in the sky as she prepared for her meeting, and with each passing moment, her resolve solidified. She dressed in a simple navy blazer, an outfit that spoke of professionalism, yet retained an edge of personal authority. As she looked in the mirror, she half expected someone else to stare back, a version of herself imbued with the courage to challenge, to uncover, to heal. Arriving at the old family house sent a wave of nostalgia rushing over her. It was as if the walls whispered secrets, beckoning her to listen closely. The door creaked as she stepped inside, revealing a space laden with memories, each object a marker of a life once lived. As she walked through the familiar yet disorienting landscape, her heart raced with anticipation of what lay ahead. Her father appeared, shadowed by the dusky light, his expression unreadable. He seemed smaller somehow than the towering figure mingled in her childhood recollections. "Thank you for coming," he said, voice low and heavy. Lucy observed him closely. This was no longer just about a father-daughter relationship. It was about recognizing the layers of humanity within one another. "I got your message," she started, her voice steady. "I need to know what happened, who that person is in the photo." As his eyes met hers, she felt the charged atmosphere thicken between them. The moment was almost palpable, a critical junction not only in their personal story, but in her journey as a therapist. If he opened up, they'd create an authentic dialogue unspoken in years. Together, they could peel back the layers that both separated and connected them. But as he took a breath to respond, another thought clawed at her. Was she prepared for whatever truth would be revealed? Would she embrace it, or would it shatter her already fragile calm? The moment lingered, thick with anticipation. As he opened his mouth to speak, a crashing wave of uncertainty washed over her. Suddenly, this familial reckoning morphed into something broader, a reflection of her own struggles, her aspirations, the professional growth born from the necessity of facing hidden truths. How far would she stretch herself? What would become of her identity when confronted with the raw honesty of her father's past? And as those shadows danced in the corners of her mind, a new question emerged. Would uncovering these truths lead to healing, or would it unearth complications that would prove detrimental to her growth? The dance between clarity and chaos was about to unfold. Would she have the audacity to step into its depth? The profound silence in the old family house enveloped Lucy as she looked into her father's eyes, both hopeful and apprehensive. Here they stood, on the brink of a revelation that could redefine their fractured relationship. The years of silence weighed down the air, a palpable reminder of everything left unsaid. Lucy squared her shoulders. This was more than a conversation. It was about shaping her future and embracing authenticity. "Who is the person in the photo?" she pressed, her voice breaking through the stillness. The need for clarity propelled her forward, though her heart raced with uncertainty. Her father hesitated, emotions flickering across his face. "That was your mother's sister, Clara," he finally replied, his voice low and resolute. "She had a life that was intertwined with ours, but became tangled in a series of choices that changed everything." As he spoke, Lucy felt the pieces of her family history falling into place like an intricate puzzle. Memories of her childhood, marred by absence and silence, began to morph into a narrative of deeper complexity. "Why didn't anyone talk about her?" Lucy asked, her voice steadier now, calm starting to replace the storm of anxiety within her. "She made decisions that forced us all to choose how to remember her," he said, remorse heavy upon his lips. "Choices that cast a long shadow, made me feel like there was nothing to say. I thought silence was protecting you." Silence. Lucy had grown adept at navigating the complexities of silence throughout her career. She knew the burdens that such absence could impose. Bearing her father's decisions held an aching familiarity. "But what about truth?" she challenged softly, the therapist in her compelling the discussion. "What if understanding this part of our family could heal?" A flicker of recognition crossed her father's face. The tremor of regret was underscored by a hint of pride for her bravery. "Maybe you're right," he admitted, his voice thick. "We built these walls to protect each other, but we ended up isolating ourselves." Lucy took a deep breath, the weight of unspoken words beginning to lift. "If we face our past together, we can redefine our present. I want to know about Clara, about how her life shaped ours, and maybe even how it shapes me." With each word, a renewed sense of purpose flowed through her. Her father looked at her, the distance beginning to dissolve. "I've avoided it for so long. Everything tied to her. But perhaps you're right. It's time we face the truths that bind us." For the first time in years, Lucy felt the strands of connection weaving themselves back together. They began to recount stories. Each word peeled back layers of their shared past, liberating them from the constraints of silence. Lucy found herself not just learning about Clara, but also uncovering details about her own character, reflecting unacknowledged parts of herself. As stories filled the air, Lucy's heart swelled with newfound understanding. They laughed, cried, and shared moments of vulnerability. The heaviness lightened, a shift in energy sparking through their conversation. In the midst of it all, she realized something profound. By confronting her family legacy, she was not only reclaiming her identity, but also laying a foundation of authenticity to infuse into her professional life. No longer would she merely guide others through the tangled webs of their stories. Now, she could lead with her own. After hours spent peeling back the layers of their past, as they chuckled over shared memories and nodded in recognition of their individual growth, her father turned to her, his eyes gleaming with pride. "You've done something remarkable, Lucy. You've brought our truth back to light." In that moment, she felt a wave of simple yet profound satisfaction. No longer had she been just Lucy, the wedding planner, or the granddaughter with expectations. She stood firmly for herself, complex, imperfect, and unwaveringly honest. Days later, as she prepared for a workshop aimed at helping others embrace their legacies, Lucy paused and gazed at the ring nestled within her bouquet. It was more than an heirloom. It became a token of truth, symbolizing both her past and the authenticity she now chose to embody. Resolutely, she planned to share these stories with her clients, to help them navigate their individual journeys through the truths they carried. With that transformative clarity, Lucy stepped confidently into her new role, not just as a planner, but as a bridge, intertwining past legacies with present experiences. She felt empowered, equipped with the knowledge that embracing truth fostered genuine connections. And as she readied herself for the first session where her life story would echo in the words she shared, she recognized that her journey of self-discovery had come full circle, culminating in a powerful realization. Confronting her fears helped her evolve, and that evolution allowed her to illuminate the path for others. In that embrace of authenticity, Lucy found her purpose not just in the grand celebrations of love, but in guiding others toward the richness of their own narratives. She stood prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead, invigorated by her resolve to dismantle many walls hidden deep within others, one truth at a time. Now, it's your turn to join this journey of empowerment and transformation. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for truth and authenticity in storytelling. Comment your reactions and theories about Lucy's journey and how it resonates with you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion, because every truth uncovered deserves to be celebrated.